Have you ever heard of someone who was declared clinically dead? No heartbeat, no breath, yet somehow they returned, carrying memories that seem impossible to explain. A heart that stops, a body lying still beneath the cold lights of the emergency room. And somewhere in that silence, a story begins. Maybe you've heard someone share an experience like this, or perhaps you or someone close to you has felt that strange moment on the edge between life and death. If so, do you remember how it felt? Take a moment. If one day everything around you suddenly fell silent, have you ever wondered what might be waiting on the other side of that boundary? Every year in the United States, nearly 356,000 people suffer sudden cardiac arrest outside of a hospital. Among those who survive, about 10 to 20% report something extraordinary, seeing a bright light, leaving their body, or meeting loved ones who have already passed away. AHA 2023. So, are these memories proof of another world beyond, or just the brain's last flicker before fading out? Or could they be something in between, something at the very edge of science and faith? In 2014, Dr. Sam Parnia at New York University launched the largest study on near-death experiences ever conducted, seeking to answer a question humanity has always wondered. Parnia et al., 2014. What truly happens when someone comes back from death? Welcome to Life After Death Unveiled, where together we explore the truth and the deepest mysteries of the soul and the afterlife. Don't hesitate to share what you felt, any experiences, or even quiet thoughts you've carried about this topic, because your story could become a source of hope and healing for someone else listening tonight. Disclaimer: the experiences and stories shared in this video are based on real accounts documented in peer-reviewed scientific studies, support group records, and reputable medical organizations. While each person's experience is unique and not every account can be independently verified, all information presented here is grounded in published research and first-hand testimonies. Science continues to search for answers, and we invite you to explore these mysteries with an open mind. What exactly is a near-death experience? In simple terms, it's a profound, vivid event reported by people who have come close to death, or who have even been declared clinically dead before being revived. But these experiences are so much more than medical definitions. People across the world describe common elements: a feeling of leaving their body, floating above a hospital bed, seeing a tunnel of light, hearing voices or music, feeling an overwhelming sense of peace, or encountering beings, sometimes loved ones, sometimes strangers, who seem to radiate love and understanding. Some describe watching doctors try to revive them, observing every detail from above, as if their consciousness had completely separated from their physical body. Others speak of moving rapidly through darkness toward a brilliant light that feels both comforting and mysterious. Statistically, near-death experiences are not rare. In the United States, recent surveys suggest that millions of people, perhaps as many as 5% of adults, have had an NDE or something like it at some point in their lives. Grayson, 2003, Pew Research Center, 2015. But what's truly remarkable is how similar these stories are, no matter where people come from, what language they speak, or what they believed before the experience. Children and adults, doctors and patients, skeptics and believers. Their words echo the same patterns: a sudden sense of calm, a boundary being crossed, a feeling of being home even as their bodies hovered at the edge of death. Yet, as powerful as these experiences are, they raise difficult questions. Are NDEs simply vivid hallucinations, an oxygen-starved brain's last attempt to make sense of chaos? Or are they glimpses of something much greater, something waiting for us beyond this life? Tonight, let's explore what science has uncovered and what remains unexplained. If near-death experiences are so common, what does modern science have to say? Over the last few decades, the medical community in the United States has shifted from ignoring these stories to investigating them with the tools of science, often with surprising results. One of the most influential projects is the AWARE study, led by Dr. Sam Parnia at New York University, Parnia et al., 2014. Between 2008 and 2014, his team studied more than 2,000 cases of cardiac arrest across 15 hospitals in the US and Europe. These were people whose hearts had stopped, clinically dead, before being brought back with CPR. The goal was to discover whether consciousness truly continues when the brain appears to have shut down. What did they find? Astonishingly, about 10% of survivors reported vivid experiences, floating above their bodies, watching medical teams from the ceiling, feeling a sense of peace, seeing light, or even reliving moments of their lives. One patient, whose heart had stopped for several minutes, recalled details about the hospital room and the actions of the doctors, details he couldn't possibly have known if he was unconscious. To test if these accounts were real, researchers even placed hidden images in hospital rooms visible only from above. While most survivors couldn't recall the images, a few described things that closely matched reality, suggesting their consciousness might have left the body in some way science still can't fully explain. The AWARE study is not alone. Dr. Bruce Grayson at the University of Virginia has spent more than 40 years investigating NDEs, creating what's now called the Grayson scale to measure and compare these experiences. Grayson 1983, Grayson 2021. He's gathered thousands of case reports from children and adults, believers and skeptics alike. The similarities are striking, regardless of background or belief. Even major medical institutions like the Mayo Clinic and Harvard Medical School have taken notice. Mayo Clinic Proceedings 2018. Their reviews suggest that while some NDEs may be explained by physiological changes, such as lack of oxygen, the effects of anesthesia, or even chemicals like DMT produced by the brain, these factors alone can't explain every case. Some NDEs occur when the brain is believed to be completely inactive, challenging everything we know about consciousness. Of course, not every scientist agrees. Skeptics argue that NDEs are the result of a dying brain, fragmented memory, or even cultural expectations. Some point to experiments where similar experiences can be triggered in healthy people using drugs or brain stimulation. But even the most skeptical researchers admit, we still don't have all the answers. Some cases go beyond our current understanding. Grayson 2021. Perhaps that's why the debate continues, not just in labs and hospitals, but around kitchen tables, in support groups, and on late-night calls between friends. For every study that claims to debunk NDEs, another seems to open the door wider, inviting more questions. So where does this leave us? Despite decades of research, the near-death experience remains one of the greatest mysteries of the mind, a phenomenon that science can measure and document but not yet fully explain. In the next part, let's hear directly from those who've lived through it and let their words guide us deeper into the mystery. The following stories are drawn from published research and official reports, including the AWARE study, Parnia et al., 2014, NYU, the International Association for Near-Death Studies, IANDF, and the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, NDERF. Each case has been reported and documented by medical professionals or the individuals themselves. Numbers and studies offer us evidence, but it's the voices of those who have stood at the edge of life that truly give meaning to near-death experiences. Sarah, the nurse. Sarah, a critical care nurse from Ohio, is one of the documented participants in the AWARE study led by Dr. Sam Parnia, Parnia et al., 2014, AWARE participant number 115. After a severe car accident, she was resuscitated in the emergency room. She later described, "I was above my own body watching the doctors and nurses work. There was no pain, just a gentle peace. I saw a warm light and felt a presence that felt like family, though I couldn't see faces clearly. I knew I wasn't alone." Sarah had never thought much about the afterlife, but this experience changed her. She became more compassionate with her patients, and for the first time, she found herself questioning what happens beyond death. David, the firefighter. David, a retired firefighter in Texas, shared his story with the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, NDER, Case 7651. It was like being pulled through a tunnel. At the end, there was light. My whole life played back before me, not just events, but the feelings I'd caused others. It wasn't judgmental, just understanding. I came back different. I call it my second chance. Michael, the skeptic. Michael, a medical student, reported his experience to the International Association for Near-Death Studies, INDF, 2018. I saw my own body from above. I could hear everything, but felt no fear, just curiosity. I still don't know what to believe, but that memory is as real as anything. Across age, belief, and background, their stories echo the same. An overwhelming sense of calm. Encounters with light or loved ones. Moments of life review, seeing and feeling one's actions. A sense of returning with new purpose or less fear. Yet, not everyone finds comfort. Some struggle to share their stories, worried others will doubt them. For others, the experience brings a sense of peace or a drive to live with more kindness and intention. The question remains, are these stories just the mind's way of coping with crisis, or do they hint at something greater? Next, let's look at what science can and cannot explain about these mysterious experiences. As powerful as near-death experiences may be, the search for answers always circles back to one question: can science explain it all? Many researchers point first to the brain, Mayo Clinic Proceedings 2018, Grayson 2021. When the heart stops, blood flow to the brain drops within seconds, and consciousness is supposed to fade away. Some scientists believe NDEs are vivid hallucinations, a last surge of brain activity triggered by lack of oxygen, anesthesia, or even chemicals like DMT released under extreme stress. Experiments have shown that pilots undergoing high-gravity training or people exposed to certain drugs can sometimes report sensations similar to NDEs, tunnels of light, floating outside their bodies, even a sense of peace or meeting with others. These observations seem to support the theory that NDEs are biological, not supernatural. But there's a complication. Studies like the AWARE project, Parnia et al., 2014, found that some patients recalled detailed events that happened while their brains showed no measurable activity. For example, a few survivors described things in their hospital rooms, sounds, equipment, the actions of medical staff that could only be seen or heard from outside their own bodies. If their brains had shut down, how could these memories form? Dr. Bruce Grayson, one of the world's leading NDE researchers, puts it this way. Grayson, 2021. We know that a functioning brain is necessary for consciousness, but we also have cases where consciousness seems to continue when the brain is offline. That challenges everything we think we know. Some scientists remain skeptical, pointing to flaws in memory or possible moments of undetected brain activity. Others insist that the similarities across cultures, ages, and beliefs suggest NDEs might be something more than just physiology. The debate is far from settled. Are NDEs simply the last fireworks of a dying mind, or a sign that consciousness isn't limited to the physical brain? Do these experiences reveal new frontiers of human awareness, or do they simply comfort us in our final moments? What's clear is that NDEs continue to challenge our understanding of life, death, and what it truly means to be conscious. And so, the discussion moves from hospital rooms and research labs to living rooms, support groups, and quiet moments of reflection, where belief, skepticism, and wonder all have a seat at the table. In the next part, we'll explore how this debate shapes lives and why the meaning we find in these stories might matter more than the science itself. As research continues, the debate over near-death experiences grows, sometimes even more passionate than the science itself. Some in the scientific community remain deeply skeptical. They argue that while NDEs are compelling, they can still be explained by brain chemistry, cultural expectations, or the effects of trauma. For these researchers, the beauty and comfort of NDE stories do not make them proof of another world. But others, including doctors, psychologists, and philosophers, see things differently. For them, the consistency of NDE accounts across cultures, religions, and age groups hints at a universal human experience. Dr. Bruce Grayson reflects, Grayson 2021, NDEs don't just change how people view death, they change how they live. Survivors often become more compassionate, lose their fear of dying, and develop a sense of purpose that wasn't there before. Spiritual leaders and theologians point out that these experiences echo ancient descriptions of the afterlife, visions of light, loving presences, and life reviews found in texts from the Bible to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Ian's Zaleski, 1987. They suggest that NDEs may be part of a much older, deeper spiritual journey that science is only beginning to describe. Yet, it's not just believers or the devout who are moved. Even skeptics admit that the impact of an NDE can be profound. Many survivors return with less interest in material things, a greater appreciation for life, and a desire to help others. Psychologists note a lasting reduction in anxiety about death and a tendency to see all life as interconnected. Perhaps, in the end, the most important question is not whether NDEs are real in the scientific sense, but what they reveal about the human spirit, the search for meaning, hope, and connection. So, as science and faith continue their ongoing conversation, these stories remain. A reminder that even in our final moments, we may be touched by something both mysterious and deeply human. Now, let's return to the heart of the mystery and see what we can learn from all that's been discovered so far. Science has given us new ways to look at near-death experiences, yet the mystery endures. Are these glimpses into another reality, or simply the remarkable workings of a brain at its limits? The truth is, no study or story can fully answer the questions that linger in the quiet moments after the heart stops. But what we do know is this: those who return from the edge often find a new sense of purpose, a deeper appreciation for life, and a compassion that stretches beyond themselves. Maybe that's what truly matters, not just what happens at the end, but how we choose to live with the time we have. If this message resonated with you, don't hesitate to share your own reflections or experiences in the comments below. Your story may be the light that helps someone else through their own questions. And if you found meaning here tonight, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can continue to explore these mysteries and walk this journey side by side into even deeper discoveries. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, sometimes the most profound answers are found not in certainty, but in the courage to keep searching. Disclaimer: all stories and data shared in this video are based on documented accounts from recognized medical and scientific sources, including the AWARE study, IANS, NDRF, and published peer-reviewed research. While science continues to search for definitive answers, our goal is to share only what has been published or professionally reported. Each person's experience remains unique and valuable as part of this ongoing conversation.